Discover the incredible moment. A millionaire laughs. Then experiences a life-changing shock. Jake stood outside the old diner, the crimson sun setting behind him, casting a nostalgic glow over cedarwood. It was here he learned the value of hard work, flipping burgers and washing dishes for his first taste of independence. Just across the street, he could see the patch of grass he used to mow as a kid. Each blade felt tied to snippets of laughter and dreams, but the laughter that once echoed here now felt distant, overshadowed by the town's somber reality. As he inhaled the familiar scents of grease and fries, a bittersweet smile crept onto his face. He was a self-made millionaire, yet the weight of this town, not its charm, but its struggles, began to press down on him. Cedarwood once pulsed with potential. Now, vacant storefronts lined the streets like ghosts of dreams once vibrant. The echoes of laughter he brought back with him felt like a cruel counterpoint to the scene around him. "Jake, is that you?" A familiar face lit up. It was Tim, an old friend from high school. The same Tim who always believed in his big ideas, even when he was mowing lawns. They shared a hearty laugh, the kind that felt like a warm hug. But as moments passed and the joy died down, Jake sensed the tension simmering beneath the surface. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As dinner was served, Jake couldn't help but notice the way the warmth faded when others arrived. His wealth felt like a wall, keeping friends at a distance. Even his own sister Emily was cold. She looked tired, her eyes sunken, filled with years of struggle as a single mother working day and night just to survive. Their beef from the past remained fresh, a bitter reminder that even blood could feel like a stranger. "You think you're just gonna swoop in and fix everything, huh?" she seethed, her words sharp as a knife. "You have no idea what it's like to barely make rent. Your money doesn't mean a thing around here." The air crackled with tension, and Jake's laughter turned into a choked silence. He had thought he could lift them up, could be the beacon of hope he had always dreamt of being. But now he felt more like an alien. Deep down, Jake knew he was trying to champion change, but with every step he took to uplift his hometown, he felt Emily pulling further away. Every smile he offered seemed to only deepen the fractures between them. This was a community he wanted to heal. But could he do that while risking losing what family he had left? As the night descended upon Cedarwood, Jake noticed a flicker of something unsettling cross the horizon. A family secret, buried deep, began to swirl in the air. It beckoned to him like a siren. What had he missed? He felt an itch at the back of his mind, an unease that tonight would change everything. As he pondered the rift with Emily, the weight of the unexpected revelation loomed closer, ready to reshape his understanding of everything he thought he knew. Jake stood alone in the silence of the town square, the world around him fading to a blur as he contemplated the crossroads ahead. What happens next? He felt it in his bones. A storm was brewing, and he was right in its path. Would he be able to bridge the gap between wealth and worthiness, or would the rift continue to widen until it swallowed him whole? The answers loomed like shadows, bathed in the deepest hues of twilight, waiting to be uncovered. Jake took a deep breath, the scent of damp earth mingling with nostalgia. The distant sounds of cedarwood faded, leaving the soft crackle of his own heartbeat in his ears. In the very place where he'd spun dreams, he now stood in uncertainty. Something was brewing, a storm, yes, but it felt deeper, like an uncovered truth begging to be seen. "Jake!" The voice was nearly drowned out by the memories swirling around him. Turning, he saw Tim reappear from the diner, an inconspicuous envelope in hand. Jake frowned as Tim approached, his face shadowed by something serious. The laughter of earlier felt like a lifetime ago. "Hey, I think you should check this out." Tim offered the envelope, his usual spark replaced by concern. Jake accepted it cautiously, sensing the gravity of the situation. "What is this?" he asked, tearing it open. Inside lay a handful of old photographs. "Thought you might want to see," Tim said, his voice hesitant, as if treading on fragile ground. Jake unfolded one picture, and his heart sank. It was a faded image of him and Emily as kids, playing in the very grass he had mowed. Behind them loomed a house known for its notorious roots, a place linked to whispered secrets in their family. What is this about?" His voice barely rose above a murmur. Tim's eyes drifted to the ground. "There are things about your family you might not know. Things that could explain a lot, man. Your sister, she hasn't said anything?" "What do you mean?" Confusion rippled through Jake. Anger bubbled under the surface. He felt like his foundations were cracking. "Your family's reputation, Jake. There was a scandal decades ago. People still talk about it. It might be why Emily feels like she has to fend for herself. It's not just the money. It's the legacy." Jake cursed under his breath, frustration bubbling up. He had come back to heal, to mend what was broken, but instead, he was confronted with secrets that were buried deep, hidden like old wounds. "This isn't just about me. This is about Emily, and I can't just stand by." "You need to talk to her," Tim interrupted, urgency creeping into his voice. "You need to confront the truth about your family, about everything. Only then can you repair this rift." Jake wrestled with the weight of that responsibility. How could he face his past when he hadn't even grasped the present? The evening's confrontation with Emily echoed in his mind, her words still fresh. "Your money doesn't mean a thing around here." In that moment of reflection, rage morphed into resolve. No more avoidance. He hadn't just come back for the laughter, but to dig up what had long been buried. "Thanks, Tim," Jake said, determination flaring in his chest. "I need to figure this out for her. For us." He stepped away from the diner, the weight of the photograph still heavy in his hand. In this quiet town, whispers of history were beginning to transform into shoutings of revelation. Cedarwood was more than he could have imagined. It held not just dreams, but shadows that were begging to be illuminated. As he walked away, one thought flashed in his mind. Should he rush into a conversation with Emily, or take time to process what he had learned? Would confronting the past mend the rift, or would it drive them apart even more? Jake could feel the thunder rumbling, but it wasn't just the weather. In Cedarwood, the real storm was brewing, and it was only a matter of time before it broke. Would it be a tempest of healing, or disaster? Jake walked through the familiar streets of Cedarwood, absorbing the fading light of dusk and the shadows that stretched from the trees. The envelope with the photographs felt like a rock in his pocket, solid and heavy, a constant reminder of the bombshell that threatened to disrupt everything. He could see the outline of his childhood home in the distance, its windows glowing softly like lost memories beckoning him closer. With every step, he replayed Tim's words. He needed to talk to Emily, but how could he broach a subject so tangled in family history? The thought of standing before her, bearing all the secrets, was daunting. How would she react? Would she feel betrayed for not knowing sooner? Toppling emotions swirled inside him. He reached the wooden porch steps, his heart racing. Memories washed over him. Hours spent playing games with Emily, sharing secrets, dreams of the future. He had to confront the ghosts of their childhood, but was he ready to unearth the truth? As he entered the house, the familiar creak of the door settled some of his nerves. The air was thick with the scent of fresh coffee. Emily was in the kitchen. He could hear her humming softly as she prepped what might be dinner. For a moment he hesitated, lingering at the threshold. Would he ruin the warmth of this moment with the shattering weight of his revelations? Jake? The soft call of his name pulled him in. He stepped inside. Emily turned, her smile radiant and effortless. "Hey, you're back early. Everything okay?" She wore an apron, flour dusting her cheeks. It struck him then how much he missed her. He forced a smile, though it felt tight. "Yeah, just had a chat with Tim. He gave me something." He held out the envelope, feeling its heaviness shift in his grip. "What's that?" she asked, tilting her head in that way he remembered from childhood. Curious, ready for adventure. "Just some old pictures." He paused, watching her expression change as she took the envelope. Her fingers trembled slightly as she slid out the photographs, her face morphing from casual curiosity to something more serious. "Whoa," she breathed, looking at the faded images. Her eyes widened as she recognized the scene, the memories likely flooding back just as they had for him. Tim mentioned, there are some things about our family, the past." Jake swallowed hard. "Things you might not have told me." A shadow flickered across her face. "Jake, Before you say anything," he interrupted, urgency creeping into his voice. "I think we need to talk about it. About whatever it is that's been hanging over us. I can't keep pretending everything's fine when it feels like a storm's about to hit." Emily set the photographs down slowly, her gaze locking onto his. "I just wanted to protect you. I thought it was better that you didn't know, that all this could stay in the past." Jake ran a hand through his hair, frustration melting into concern. "But it's still here. We have to face it together, Em. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about what your family went through, what we can do now." She shivered, a little gust of wind fluttering through the open windows. "And what if the truth is too painful? What if—" His heart raced, seeing her vulnerability. "What if we can handle it together?" Emily's eyes softened, her resolve shaking. "You think so?" "I have to believe that." As her breath caught, the moment turned electric. They stood on the edge of something monumental. Would they find healing in their shared past, or risk tearing apart what little safety they held onto? The tension in the air thickened, a storm brewing not just outside, but in the heart of their relationship. Would this be the moment they began to mend their wounds, or the moment the truth shattered everything? Jake felt another rumble of thunder, but it wasn't from the weather outside. It was the tumult of their unspoken past, waiting to break loose. Would they stand strong together against the truth, or would it tear them apart? Jake's grip tightened around the edge of the kitchen table as he searched Emily's face for answers. Her hesitation hung in the air like the stillness right before a storm. He needed her to understand. "Emily," he started softly. "I know this is hard. But if we're ever going to move forward, we have to confront our past, together." His voice was steady, yet infused with the urgency of their shared history. Emily averted her gaze, staring at the photographs as if they held the secrets to everything. He could see the wheels turning in her mind, the battle between fear and the desire for openness. He stepped closer, letting his emotions ripple into the air around them. "You've sheltered me from whatever this is," he said gently, "but you can't carry it alone. It's affecting us both." She finally met his eyes again, the doubt shimmering in hers like morning dew. What if the truth changes everything? What if we end up losing each other? Jake steadied himself. Change is scary, but it can also be good. We can either let this pain define us, or stand up to it and find out who we really are. He saw her breathe in deep, a flicker of resolve breaking through the uncertainty. They were standing on a precipice, and Jake felt the exhilaration of the unknown swirling around them. "We have to unearth whatever it is," he implored softly. It won't go away on its own. The tension shifted slightly, as if a breeze had just pushed through their hearts. Emily glanced over her shoulder toward the flickering lights of the fireplace, then back to him, her expression softening. I want to trust you. With a deep inhale, she finally whispered, Okay, I'll tell you. Jake's heart surged, a wave of relief crashing over him. Thank you. She took a seat at the table, her fingers tapping nervously against the wood. There are things about my family, things that my parents never wanted me to know. They hid it. They thought it was for the best. What do you mean? Jake leaned forward, invested. She hesitated again, gathering her thoughts like fragile pieces of glass. There were choices made that affected our families in ways I never understood back then. Choices that still echo into who we are today. He felt the sharp edge of worry creep into his chest, but he pushed it aside. I'm here, Em. Just say it. She looked him dead in the eye, a flicker of pain marking her face. Your family was involved, Jake, in a way that changes everything. It's tangled in secrets that go back years, things Tim knows. The words hung heavy in the air, their weight pressing down on him. Jake's pulse quickened. The thought of his family entwined in whatever Emily was about to reveal sent shivers down his spine. Are we talking about something that has to do with... His voice faltered. My parents? What exactly are you saying? Her eyes glistened as she choked on the truth. What if part of our families are connected in a way that neither of us can comprehend? People have suffered because of it. Jake felt the floor shift beneath him. His childhood innocence was dissipating. He wanted to reach for her, but the enormity of what she was saying kept him rooted in place. Emily, he whispered. This is a lot. I know, she said softly. But if we're going to do this, we have to face it head on. We can't keep running. Jake took a deep breath, the implications swirling around them. Are you ready? Because I don't want to push you, but I can't go back to pretending like everything's okay. As a low rumble of thunder danced through the distance, Emily nodded slowly, resolve creeping back into her features. Let's do it. Together. The moment felt monumental, a tethered bond pulling them closer to a truth neither was certain they could handle. But as they leaned in, ready to share the secrets of their families, a knock echoed at the door, shocking them from the cusp of revelation. Who could that be? Jake's voice trembled, uncertainty creeping back as they exchanged frightened glances. Was the truth about to be interrupted? Or did someone outside the storm hold answers to the past that would unravel everything they had pieced together? Jake exchanged a worried glance with Emily, the knock at the door resonating in the silence like the chime of an alarm. His heart raced, and he could feel the weight of the moment bearing down on him. I should check, he said, unsure if he was trying to protect her or himself. Before Emily could respond, he made his way across the kitchen, heart pounding in his chest. Each step felt heavier than the last. He hesitated at the door, taking a moment to calm his racing thoughts. A stranger? Or perhaps someone from their tangled past? With a deep breath, he opened the door. A gust of wind rushed in, sending a chill through the hallway. On the doorstep stood a man in a dark coat, rain droplets clinging to the brim of his hat. His eyes were sharp, scanning Jake with a mix of urgency and trepidation. Jake Thompson? The man inquired, his voice low and gravelly. Yeah. Who are you? Jake replied, trying to project confidence. He glanced back at Emily. She had moved to the edge of the table, her curiosity evident, but wariness shone in her eyes. My name is Simon. The stranger stepped forward, glancing over his shoulder into the darkening street. We need to talk. It's urgent. Jake felt a knot form in his stomach. Urgency rarely came without complications. "About what?" he asked, defensive. "About your family. There's something you need to know." Simon's expression hardened, as if struggling with the weight of the words he was about to share. Jake swallowed hard, memories of childhood whispers flooding back. "What do you mean?" Concern wove through his tone. Before Simon could respond, lightning illuminated the night outside, casting eerie shadows across the room. The man grew more resolute. "I represent someone who knows everything about your family's past. And it could change everything for you and Emily." Emily stepped closer, her presence grounding Jake as he exchanged a tense glance with her. The specter of their families lingered between them, thick as the storm outside. "What are you talking about?" Jake pressed, his voice steadier now, emboldened by Emily's unwavering presence. "Your families. They're intertwined in ways you can't imagine," Simon said, his gaze shifting between Jake and Emily. "There were choices made that put lives at stake. The truth can't stay buried any longer." "I knew it," Emily breathed, her voice shaking. "I knew our families were connected." "Stay back, Em," Jake interrupted, the protective instinct rising within him. He faced Simon. "What's your point? Are you here to threaten us?" "No," Simon replied, shaking his head. "I'm here to give you a choice. You can understand what happened and take control of it, or you can let the past destroy everything." A tense silence settled between them. The air was thick with anticipation, like a heavy storm cloud about to release its rain. Jake could feel the monstrous weight of a decision looming just above them, one that could alter the course of their lives forever. The flickering lights of the kitchen cast haunting shapes across the walls, reflecting the shadows of the secrets closing in on them. "What happens next?" Jake asked, the tremor of uncertainty in his voice underlining the importance of the moment. Simon took a step back, his eyes piercing through the layers of their apprehension. "You'll need to decide quickly. Time isn't on your side, and neither is the storm." Jake looked at Emily. Her eyes mirrored his internal struggle, a mix of fear and courage. Could they really face whatever was waiting for them in the past? Then, another loud bang of thunder cut through the tension, as Simon added one last nail to the coffin of their decision. "If you don't confront it now, you may lose everything that matters to you." As Jake contemplated the gravity of Simon's words, the weight of impending revelations hung heavy. Would they muster the courage needed to uncover the truth? Or would fear hold them back from the life they were desperately trying to protect? And just as Jake opened his mouth to speak, another voice, softer yet equally haunting, broke the stillness behind him. "Jake, wait. What if I already know something?" The question hung in the air, shifting the ground beneath their feet once again. Jake turned, startled by Emily's words. Her expression was intense, a mixture of determination and fear. He could see she had been contemplating something deep, wrestling with thoughts that had taken root long before that moment. "What do you mean you know something?" he asked, his heart racing yet again. The storm outside seemed to mirror the churn of emotions within him. "I've been digging into our families, remember? The stories, the connections. I thought I was just being paranoid." She took a hesitant step forward. "But after everything Simon just said, I can't keep it to myself." Jake's mind raced. The implications were staggering. "What have you found?" he pressed. "I don't know everything, but there are threads. Things our parents said. Things that never made sense at the time." She paused, glancing at Simon. "I think they were tied up in it too, whatever it is he's talking about." Simon shifted his weight, looking between them. "This isn't the time for half-truths. If you know something that could help, now is the moment." Emily took a breath, steadying her nerves. "I found records, old letters mixed in with family albums. There were names I recognized but didn't connect until now. People from both our families." Her voice trembled. Jake felt the weight of her words pressing down. Could this be the thread that unraveled their worlds? The thought made his stomach twist. What names? Your great-uncle. He was involved in something. Something with my grandfather, she continued, her gaze imploring Jake to understand. I couldn't make sense of it before, but now. Simon stepped closer, urgency creeping into his tone. You must understand. You're standing at a crossroads. The family legacies are intertwined, and those links might be the key to unlocking hidden truths. You can't ignore it. Jake's thoughts were whirling. Could they really confront this tangled legacy? But that doesn't explain why you were digging into it in the first place. He felt a surge of protective instinct rising. What did you find that made you concerned? I found threats, notes hidden away in boxes, she said, her voice dropping as if the words had weight. Threats between families, warnings about pursuing connections. It's all there, Jake. They didn't want us to know. A chill passed through Jake, realizing their families had built walls around something dark. So, what's at stake? He asked, desperation creeping into his voice. What could happen if we don't face this? There could be consequences we can't even imagine, Simon added, his eyes sharp. But if you choose to confront it, maybe you can take back control of your lives. Emily's eyes sparkled with tears, hurt mixed with determination. I just want to make sense of things, for us to be free of the past, to live without these shadows hanging over us. Jake felt his heart ache for her. How could they break free if the shadows were buried so deep? Yet he knew one thing. He didn't want to lose her, not to the past, not to fear. He took a deep breath, looking back at Simon. Then let's do it. Tell us what we need to do. Simon nodded slowly. It starts with confronting the truth, together. As Jake turned back to Emily, ready to take that leap into the unknown, a loud crash of thunder echoed behind them, cutting through the moment, signaling a storm brewing, not just outside, but within their very lives. Are you ready for this? Jake asked, feeling the gravity of their decision settle around them. Emily took a steadying breath, her eyes unwavering. I am, but I need to know. What if we uncover something we can't handle? The question echoed in the silence, leaving them standing on the precipice of revelation, unsure of the path ahead. And just as they prepared to step forward, an eerie chill swept through the room, making Jake wonder if the past was not just lurking, it was preparing to collide with the present. Jake could feel his heart thumping loudly in his chest as the storm's relentless roar surged outside. It was as if the very elements were echoing their uncertainty, amplifying the gravity of their decision. Emily's eyes flickered with a mixture of courage and fear that made Jake want to reach out and pull her close, to shield her from whatever they might uncover. Okay then, he said, firming his resolve. Let's start with what you found. Where did you keep those documents? Emily swallowed hard. In an old box. My grandmother always cautioned me to keep it locked away. She had a fear of our family's past. A paranoia, almost. Simon straightened up, his expression shifting to one of contemplation. Then we need to go to your house, now, before anyone can get to it first. Now? In this storm? Emily spoke with disbelief, glancing toward the windows where sheets of rain blurred their surroundings. What if... It's important. We can't wait. Simon's voice was steady and reassuring. If there are secrets, they might be buried somewhere dangerous. We have to act. They exchanged nervous glances, the resolve settling into them like cold stone. It would be easy to turn back now, to retreat into the safety of ignorance. But Jake knew that if they didn't pursue this, the shadows would only grow darker. Let's go then, Jake said firmly, adrenaline coursing through him. I'll drive. They hurried outside, the rain pounding down, and for a moment, it was a shock. It felt refreshing, yet menacing. Jake quickly ushered Emily and Simon into his car, the interior offering a momentary sanctuary from the chaos outside. As they drove, silence enveloped them, filled only with the sound of the wipers working furiously against the storm. "Are you sure about this?" Emily finally broke the silence, her gaze fixed on the streets disappearing under sheets of rain. "What if we find something that changes everything?" Jake reached over and placed a supportive hand on her knee. "Whatever we find, we'll deal with it. Together." The reassurance hung in the air, though it was tinged with uncertainty. The road was slick, and the familiar route felt foreign under the veil of the storm. Memories of laughter and simpler times echoed in Jake's mind, a comfort now threatened by dark revelations and forgotten narratives from their families. After what felt like an eternity, they finally reached Emily's house. The lights flickered ominously, and shadows danced along the walls. They rushed inside, rain-soaked and anxious. The living room was as familiar as it was strange, filled with relics of the past. "Where's the box?" Simon asked, scanning the room with intensity. "In the attic," Emily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll get it." They climbed the creaking staircase, each step echoing in the silence. As they reached the attic door, Jake could feel the air thickening around them. This was it, the turning point that could either shatter their world or bring them closer together. "Do you really think we can handle what's in there?" Emily asked, hesitating at the threshold. "Whatever it is, we'll face it. Together." Jake reassured her. But deep down, he knew that some truths could change everything, even if they were necessary to face. As Emily opened the door to the attic, a sudden gust of wind blew through the house, sending a shiver down their spines. Jake held his breath, the tension palpable. What lay within that dusty old box could alter their future in ways they couldn't yet fathom. "Let's do this," Jake urged, stepping forward. Emily nodded, as she took the first step toward the dust and shadows. But before they could dive into the contents, Jake's phone buzzed violently in his pocket, a notification that instantly pulled his attention. A message flashed on the screen, and his heart sank. "We need to know if they're coming for us," it read. "Who's coming for us?" Simon's eyes widened as Jake turned his gaze, realizing the weight of the situation was truly about to spiral out of their control. "Let's just hope we unearth the truth fast," Jake muttered, the sense of impending danger settling in once more. With a deep breath, they stepped into the attic, prepared to face whatever lay in store, but aware that the road ahead was riddled with dark secrets and uncharted consequences. Would they be prepared for what they were about to uncover? The attic was a time capsule, filled with forgotten memories and dust that danced in the beams of their flashlights. Old boxes lined the walls, each one a mystery waiting to be uncovered. Jake felt the weight of the moment. They stood on the edge of something that could change their lives forever. Emily's fingers trembled as she reached for the box, its surface worn and faded. "This is it," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the storm raging outside. She hesitated, her breath hitching in her throat. "Do you want me to do it?" Simon offered, stepping closer. His concern for her showed in the way his eyes softened. "No, I can do it," Emily replied. But Jake could see that doubt still clung to her like the dust in the air. She took a deep breath and slowly lifted the box from its resting place. It felt heavier than it looked. Jake watched as Emily opened it. The hinges creaked, echoing in the stillness of the attic. Inside, yellowing papers, photographs, and strange trinkets stared back at them, relics of a past that felt eerily present. "What's that?" Simon pointed to a photo that seemed to stand out even in the dim light. Emily pulled it out carefully, brushing off the dust. It was a photograph of two families smiling in front of what appeared to be their homes. The people looked familiar yet distant. This is my grandmother and someone else," she said slowly, squinting at the faded image. but I don't recognize the other family. Jake leaned in to get a better look. Something flickered in his mind, a spark of recognition nagging at him. "Wait," he murmured, feeling a knot of tension tighten in his stomach. "That house." "What about it?" Emily asked, her brow furrowing. "The house in the background. It's the same one from that neighborhood we used to visit when we were kids," Jake replied. The memories rushed back, vivid like a scene from a movie. Family gatherings, laughter, secrets behind closed doors. Emily's eyes widened. "But how?" "That's impossible." "Maybe not," Simon interjected. "What if our families were connected in ways we didn't know?" Before anyone could respond, another message buzzed on Jake's phone, this time with a louder urgency. He fished it out, his hands trembling slightly. The meter was rising, and the storm outside seemed to echo the chaos inside. "We need to be careful," he read aloud. "They've found us." "They?" Emily echoed, panic reflecting in her wide eyes. "Whoever is behind those messages," Jake replied, swallowing hard. "And they know we're here." A sense of dread washed over them. The tension shifted, thick and suffocating. What if uncovering the truth meant exposing them to something darker than they could handle? "Look," Simon said, pointing at the rest of the box with renewed urgency. "We need to keep going. There has to be more here that connects everything." Emily slowly nodded. They were standing on the precipice of revelation, and the stakes were rising. Each piece of paper they unfolded could either bring them answers or unravel more questions. Jake reached in, pulling out a handful of papers. The first one caught his eye. It was a letter, marked in bold handwriting, something about a family secret that could never see the light of day. His heart raced as he scanned the page, the words sending chills down his spine. "Guys," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "this isn't just about our families anymore. This is about the lives we thought we knew." They locked eyes, knowing the path ahead wasn't just entwined with mystery, but danger. Jake could feel the storm reflecting their chaos, powerful and unrelenting. Emily began to tremble, grasping the edge of the box. What if we're not ready for this? Jake felt the weight of her fear. We have to be. There's no turning back now. With their hearts pounding in unison, they leaned in closer, knowing that with each revelation, the stakes climbed higher. Would they uncover the truth before it was too late? And just then, as they prepared to dive deeper, a loud crash of thunder shook the house, and the lights flickered before plunging them into darkness. "What was that?" Emily cried, fear creeping into her voice. "Stay close," Jake shouted, snatching her hand. They were older, but this attic felt like a haunted childhood place, where shadows could quickly turn into nightmares. In the depths of darkness, Jake's heart raced anew. Secrets awaited, but so did danger. Would they uncover the truth about their families, or would it consume them in the process? Jake's grip on Emily's hand tightened as they all stood together in the oppressive darkness, the only sounds around them being the howling wind and the distant rumble of thunder. His pulse quickened, the atmosphere swirling with a mix of fear and anticipation. "Can anyone find a flashlight?" Simon's voice cut through the anxiety, shaky yet resolute. "I've got one!" Emily fumbled in her backpack, casting frantic glances around the inky void. In that moment, everything felt fragile, like a single breath could shatter the tension into a million pieces. The beam of the flashlight flickered to life, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. Shadows loomed larger than life, creating uncanny shapes on the walls. Jake took a step forward, allowing the light to guide him through the remnants of their family's past. "Look," he said, slowly turning back to the box. Papers spilled out, a disorganized pile that begged to be sorted. "We need to read this stuff, find out what's really going on." Emily nodded, her eyes wide. The fear was still there, but amidst it came a wave of determination. Yes, let's do it. We can't let whatever is happening out there stop us from understanding this. They began to sift through the letters, photographs, and trinkets, hands shaking with both excitement and terror. Jake picked up an old diary, its leather cover cracked and worn. Peering inside, the pages were filled with cramped handwriting. He skimmed through entries, each one revealing snippets of lives intertwined. The heartbreak, the joy, the secrets. This is my grandmother's writing, Emily breathed, leaning closer to examine the words. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What does it say? She turned to look at him, eyes glinting with curiosity but also caution. She writes about a family feud. Something huge happened between families. It's like she was trying to warn someone, or maybe herself. Warn who? Simon asked, his voice tight with urgency. I don't know, Emily replied, flipping to another page. But it sounds serious. Something that was hidden away like a dangerous secret. Just then, another loud thunderclap resonated through the attic. The light flickered again, casting eerie shadows over their faces. Guys, we're running out of time, Jake said, glancing at his phone. The notifications kept buzzing, each one more frantic than the last. Whatever is happening out there, it's only getting closer. With newfound urgency, they refocused on the task at hand. Jake read aloud, piecing together fragmented thoughts about betrayal and loss, words that seemed laden with warnings. Then Emily gasped, her fingers trembling over a delicate necklace that had nestled at the bottom of the box. This was my grandmother's. She raised it to the light, and the metal glimmered, somehow bringing a small sense of warmth against the surrounding fear. I can remember her wearing it. Jake's mind raced. If it's all connected, maybe it's more than just about our families. Maybe whatever happened is still out there, tied to us in ways we can't even begin to understand. Suddenly, the message on Jake's phone buzzed again, more insistent this time. It felt like a ticking clock, each second tightening around them. Guys, we need to make a choice. Jake turned to both of them, the seriousness in his tone piercing through the noise. We can either dig deeper into this mess, or we can get out of here and hope we don't get caught up in whatever is brewing outside. Emily's face paled. But what if the answers we find here are worse than the fear of what's outside? It struck him then. This wasn't just a simple mystery anymore. This was about them, about their connections, and the weight of decisions that could alter everything. They were at a crossroads, with their paths scattershot like the papers around them. The countdown weighed heavily in the air, building tension with every second. Whatever we decide, it's on us, Jake said finally, sensing their hearts pounding in unison. Emily took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. Then we dig deeper. Whatever the truth is, we have to face it together, right? But before Jake could respond, the power suddenly cut out, the flashlight's beam flickering and fading. He felt his heart in his throat. What now? And then, a sound, a subtle creak, like footsteps coming from the staircase. Did you hear that? Simon whispered, the fear in his voice palpable. Jake's heart raced anew as the attic door creaked open, an almost ghostly invitation beckoning them into the unknown. Would they dare venture out and confront whatever lay beyond those rickety stairs? The attic door creaked open wider, and a chilling gust of wind rushed through the space like a sinister whisper. Jake's heart raced, the sound of his own heartbeat reverberating in the eerie silence. Stay close, he urged, keeping Emily and Simon within arm's reach. Peering into the darkness beyond, he felt the weight of their unresolved past press down on them. As he steadied himself, he took a breath, grounding himself in the moment. Fear pulsing through him, Jake whispered, "We need to know what's out there." With a flick of Emily's flashlight, they stepped forward cautiously, illuminating the steps leading down to the next floor. Each creak echoed, amplifying the tension in the air. Jake's mind was racing, caught between what lay ahead and the revelation still lurking in the attic. "Let's keep moving," Simon said, his voice steady, but laced with nervous energy. As they descended the dimly lit staircase, Jake felt a mounting dread mixed with determination. They were at the brink of uncovering not just a family secret, but something that could redefine their connection to each other and the world surrounding them. The moment they stepped into the hallway, a flash of lightning illuminated the room for just a heartbeat. Shadows swirled in the corners, giving life to their anxieties. Emily's hand tightened around Jake's, and he felt the warmth of her presence grounding him amidst the uncertainty. "Where do we even start?" Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake looked around, his mind churning with possibilities. "Let's check the living room. If there's something happening, we need to be ready." Taking the lead, he guided them into the familiar yet unsettling space, where echoes of laughter and warmth had once filled the air. Now it felt colder and more hollow than he remembered. As they entered the room, they were met with the flicker of an old lamp in the corner, its light spluttering as if struggling against the storm outside. The room seemed to hold its breath, the remnants of their past hanging heavy on the walls. Jake heard another loud crash of thunder, shaking the very frame of the house. "We have to figure this out and fast," he said, urgency threading through his tone. "Emily, what else did your grandmother write? Maybe it's all tied together somehow." Emily rushed back to the attic, her determination shining through her fear. She brought out the diary and began flipping through pages, the sound of paper crinkling as Simon moved closer to assist her. "Here!" Emily exclaimed, her finger tracing a passage. "There's something mentioned about a family meeting, something that was swept under the rug." She referenced a connection that changed everything, something her parents warned her about. "Could it be related to what Simon mentioned?" Jake asked, the pieces of their family's tangled stories swirling in his mind. Before they could delve deeper, another knock came, this one firm and resolute. Jake's muscles tensed, and he shot a glance toward Emily and Simon. "Should we answer?" he asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. With a shared look that spoke volumes, they steeled their resolve. Whoever was at the door was clearly tied to the storm that raged outside, and it was time they faced it. "I'll go," Jake said, stepping toward the door. "Whatever is on the other side, we'll face it together." He opened the door, and the smell of rain and desperation poured in. Standing there was a woman, soaked, but holding herself with an air of determination. "I'm here to help," she said, her eyes scanning the three of them fervently. "They're after you." Jake felt his heart drop. "Who's after us?" he asked. "The same people who want to keep the truth buried," she replied tirelessly. "Your families are connected, and it's time you understand just how deep it goes." He looked back at Emily and Simon, allowing the weight of the decision to settle in. "Is this the truth we've been searching for?" he murmured. "Whatever it is, we need to listen to her," Emily urged, her resolve unwavering. The woman stepped inside, shutting the door against the storm outside. As the echoes of thunder rumbled through the house, Jake had an overwhelmingly profound feeling. This woman might hold the key to everything they had been piecing together. "Let's talk," he said, filled with the urgency of a simmering revelation. They may have been on the brink of uncovering secrets that would either tear them apart or bring them closer together. But one thing was certain. There was no turning back now. And with that, they began to uncover secrets wrapped in bloodlines, intertwined destinies, and a legacy threatening to drown them all unless they could break free of its hold. Jake squeezed Emily's hand one last time as they stepped further into the unknown together. Today would start a transformation, igniting the spirit of truth and connection amidst the chaos around them. And finally, as the storm began to recede, a flicker of hope ignited within the shadows, promising redemption and healing. This wasn't just about the past anymore. It was about choosing their future. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your support is what keeps these stories alive.